Most famous for successfully leading Great Britain during the Second World War is Winston Churchill. Even though he might have lost elections after the war, Churchill served as a second term as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1951 to 1955. He was also a prominent non-fictional writer and won the 1953 Nobel Prize in Literature. To know more about Churchill's political career before World War II, his leadership during the war, his writing career, and other contributions, watch this video and learn about his 10 amazing accomplishments. Stay tuned! Number 10. Churchill was responsible for the first minimum wage system in Britain. Just over a century ago, an up-and-coming minister in his mid-30s stood up in the House of Commons and delivered a withering indictment of the results of a free market in pay. He said the state should now intervene in defense of living wages. It's a serious national evil that any class of His Majesty's subjects should receive less than a living wage in return for their utmost exertions, he argued. Winston Churchill's political career took its course after he was elected a member of Parliament from the constituency of Oldham. He became a part of the cabinet as president of the Board of Trade in 1908. In this capacity, Churchill's achievements include the Mines Act of 1908, which provided for an 8-hour day in all mines. The Trades Board Act of 1909 established the first minimum wage system in Britain by mandating rates for 200,000 workers in various industries. The Labor's Exchange Act of 1909, which set up offices to help the unemployed find employment. Number 9. Churchill played an active role in the passage of the People's Budget. David Lloyd George introduced the famous People's Budget in the British Parliament in 1909. Winston Churchill vigorously supported the budget, which gave rise to the unprecedented taxes on the wealthy and radical social welfare programs in Britain. It's regarded as the first budget in Britain's history with the expressed intent of redistributing wealth among the British public. During his early political career, Churchill also played an active role in bringing about various radical social reforms, which also became known as liberal welfare reforms. Among other things, these include introducing pensions for those over 70, providing children with free school meals, and allowing farmers to do their thing without interference from landlords. Number 8. Became the Lord of the Admiralty. Churchill got a naval appointment as the First Lord of the Admiralty in 1911. He lived in London and spent his first 2 years in office restructuring the country's navy. While hell-bent on developing his navy, Churchill closely watched the activities of the German Navy. Churchill put measures for the UK to encounter Germans upon realizing that German engineers were given the green light to manufacture more warships. However, in the hope of preventing war, he opened the gate for diplomatic talks between the two countries. But Germans refused to oblige to the peace offer. In turn, the UK built submarines for its navy under the direction of Winston Churchill. During a war event, the British Air Force was tasked with engineering ways to employ airlines. Churchill has gotten credited for conceptualizing the term seaplane. Personally, he took flying lessons and threatened to vacate his seat if the government failed to endorse his request for new warships to be built for the Navy. Number 7. Winston Churchill became a prime minister. With the rise of Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party to power in 1933, multiple nations foresaw the occurrence of World War II. In 1940, Churchill became a UK prime minister. By that time, World War II had already exploded. Being a soldier and expert, he returned to lead the Navy. Under Churchill's command, the UK joined hands with the Allied forces to combat Germany. Churchill created a ministerial position for himself as Minister of Defense. He was aware that if the UK and Allied forces desired to win the war, they needed to use more sophisticated warfare technologies. As a result, fighter planes got engineered and used for the war. In 1945, Germany, Japan, and their allies ran out of strength and surrendered, thus ending the Second World War. Winston Churchill got credited for being the brains behind the Allied victory. In 1951, he returned to power as Prime Minister until his health-related resignation in 1955. Number 6. Home Secretary and Prison Reforms. Churchill got elevated to the position of Home Secretary in 1910. As a result, he got the authority to oversee the works of prison officers and cops. Following that, he introduced prison laws that clearly distinguish political prisoners from criminals. Thus, this reduced the punishment meted out to political prisoners. In an attempt to improve the lives of prisoners, Churchill proposed that prison libraries should be built for inmates. He was the first Home Secretary to call for lecture rooms, entertainment centers for prisoners. Number 5. Churchill won the 1953 Nobel Prize in Literature. Winston Churchill was a prolific writer. His works include 2 biographies, a novel, 3 volumes of memoirs, and several histories. During his earlier career, he wrote The Daily Telegraph, The Morning Post, and The Pioneer. In 1988, his first work, The Story of the Malacan Field, got published. Churchill's famous works include a 4-volume history of Britain and its colonies, the Second World War, 1948-53, and a history of the English-speaking peoples, 1956-58, a book series in 6 volumes, which was a major critical and commercial success. In 1953, he won the Nobel Prize in Literature for his overall lifetime body of work. Aside from being a leading non-fictional writer, Churchill had a brief career in the British Army, during which he fought as a lieutenant during the Battle of Omdurman. Furthermore, Winston Churchill was an artist whose best-known paintings are impressionist landscapes. Number 4. Churchill was voted the greatest Briton in history. Winston Churchill got elected a Fellow of the Royal Society, or FRS, in 1941, and in 1953 he accepted a knighthood, becoming a member of the Most Noble Order of the Garter, which is the highest order of chivalry in the UK. Churchill became the first of only 8 people to be made an honorary citizen of the United States in 1963. In 1999, he was included in 20th Century's 100 Most Influential People by Time magazine, and the same magazine rated him as one of the most influential people in history. In a television poll conducted in 2002 by the BBC to determine 100 greatest Britons, Winston Churchill was voted the greatest of them all. Number 3. Churchill popularized the term Iron Curtain. Churchill gladly allied himself with the Soviet Union despite his misgivings about communism. However, afterward, he started to harbor serious concerns about the Soviet Union's aims. He spoke of an Iron Curtain that has descended across the continent in a March 1946 speech. And since then, Western officials continuously mentioned the Iron Curtain when talking about the Soviet Union. Number 2. His role in the First World War. In 1914, after the brutal assassination of the Austrian leader, Sir Churchill started to prepare his country for war. The German invasion of Belgium welcomed Churchill and his men into the war. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers were transported using Navy ships to France to fight in the war. Churchill used his navy to block Germany from transporting food materials to its ports in the North Sea. He was given full control to head the Air Force Department of the UK in September of 1914. Churchill developed tactical military strategies and made sure that the UK contributed to its allies. He also hatched an invasion plan on Gallipoli, Turkey. Unfortunately, his plan turned out to be a bad idea that led to more than 250,000 Allied casualties. After almost 4 years of war, the UK and its allies put a lot of pressure on Germany to surrender in 1918, ending the First World War. Number 1. Churchill served as War and Air Secretary and as Colonial Secretary in the early 1920s. From 1919 to 1921, Churchill served as the Secretary of State for War and the Secretary of State for Air. In 1920, he was responsible for demobilizing after the First World War, for successfully putting an end to the rebellions in British Somaliland, bringing an end to their 20-year resistance and crushing the 1920 Iraqi revolt against the British. Being the Secretary of State for the colonies in 1921 to 1922, Sir Churchill negotiated the Anglo-Irish Treaty, establishing the Irish Free State. Well, those are the 10 amazing accomplishments by Winston Churchill. We hope you enjoyed our video, and be sure to like and share it, and we value your feedback. Share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. And also, subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to get notified when we upload new content. And until next time, goodbye.